What's up everybody, my name is Stephen O'Brien and on behalf of BetBright I'm bringing you the NFL coverage. The big game is here. It's the Super Bowl. It was the road to the Super Bowl. This is just the Super Bowl. Stay tuned. So in this preview, which is the final vlog preview of this whole series, and it's been great to do it and hopefully giving you guys some knowledge, this is the last one and I'm going to break it down into simple parts. Look, the Patriots are set to win this game. And we're going to have to try find a way to see can the Eagles do it. And of course they can. We've seen the Patriots almost be upset in the past. And they have got beaten in the past. Twice they've reached the Super Bowls against the Giants. And twice they've been beaten. Will the Eagles put in that sort of Giants-like formula to beat them or not? And this game comes down to very simple things. It's a tale of two quarterbacks. When really a tale of three quarterbacks. It's defense wins championships. And I'm going to show you why that's important. Then we're going to talk about the Gronk. We're going to talk then about what can the Eagles do and what needs to go right for the Eagles for them to cause the upset in this game. And then let's sum it up with the odds and who I think is going to win. Right, so let's get to it. This is a tale of two quarterbacks in this game. We have the absolute monster in the playoffs, which is Tom Brady. He is the Super Bowl king, versus Nick Foles, who's untested but easy, right? Nick Foles' career started 2012, he was drafted. 2013, he was a Pro Bowler. And he looked like he was going to go on and do great things. His passer rating was insane. Then the years after that, it dropped off. He became an interception machine. It looked like his confidence had gone. And, you know, he was traded away from the Eagles to the Rams. And then the Rams just released him. That was famously done by Jeff Fisher in one of the series of Hard Knocks. He was picked up by the Chiefs for 2 years. They actually didn't bother taking up the second-year option. And then he was re-signed by the Eagles again to back up Carson Wentz, who had a sort of hot and cold year last year, but an unbelievable year this year. And it's a good thing that they signed him because Carson Wentz went down with that torn MCL, ACL. So now he's in the fray. So really the question is what Nick Foles are we going to get? Is it 2013 Nick Foles, who was standout? And that's directly comparative to his performance in the playoffs. For some reason, he had a passer rating of 141 in the last game, just banging touchdowns everywhere. There was the read pass option coming in, which had an awful lot to do with it, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So the real question is, and I think his average quarterback rating in the playoffs is 122, which is just insane, right? So here's the question. What Nick Foles do we get in the Super Bowl? Will he lose his confidence like he did early on in his career? Will he be an interception machine? Will the Patriots defense be able to get to him? Or he's 3-0 in the playoffs. Will he go the whole way? He's tasked with taking a team that reached almost this point without him, and now he's got to finish the job. So the question is, which Nick Foles do we see on the night? Which brings us to the quarterback on the opposite side, away from the Nick Foles, Jekyll and Hyde style stuff, and over to Tom Brady. And Tom Brady is the king of the Super Bowl. What more can I say that hasn't been written about him and the stats that aren't already out there? But I'm going to pepper you with some of them now. So Tom Brady, the most Super Bowl appearances by a quarterback with 8. He's got the most Super Bowl wins with 5. He's won 4 MVP awards in the Super Bowl. The other one got one because of that interception that came down, Malcolm Butler. Most touchdown passes, most pass yards, most completions in Super Bowl history. In the playoffs, he's got the most completions, most pass yards, most pass touchdowns. I mean, the guy holds just the leader in every single category. And now he's kind of reached the old folks home stage. He's over 40 and now he's getting into the category where he's just breaking all the records of an over 40-year-old quarterback. But there's something strange that's going on. And people who are into sort of witchcraft and superstitions is that they've won 3 of their games where they've played in the white jerseys. They've lost 0 when they've played with the white jerseys. But big who cares, right? 12 out of the 13 teams that have played in the Super Bowl in white jerseys have won. So that's stacked up against them. But on the opposite side of the superstition scale is that Tom Brady led the league in passing yards this year. And no quarterback, and this I couldn't believe it when I read it, no quarterback in Super Bowl history who's led the league in the regular season in passing yards has actually went on to win the Super Bowl. There's been 5 quarterbacks who've went on to the Super Bowl with the highest passing yards in the league, and none of them have won it. And that could be down to the fact that if you have high passing yards, which means that your run game might be suffering, you're relatively one-dimensional, you're maybe hitting your receiving targets, tight ends, wide receivers, and that when you get to the Super Bowl, defense wins championships. And that's the next section that I'm going to get on to. But why I don't think that's applicable to the Patriots is that they've been there, done that. They're trying to repeat this year. They have running backs who have doubled up as wide receivers, which has been really hard to defend for teams. So Tom Brady has picked up large chunk yards with Dion Lewis and James White. So it's not the case that he's had to hit his wide receivers. He's doing it because he can. He's reading the defenses and hitting them with pass plays out of the backfield. So that's why this is different, and it's not exactly the same. If you believe in voodoo magic, and the spread is quite small on this one, and the Eagles could pip it, is that will the defense and the strong defense by the Eagles be able to stick it to Tom Brady and make sure that that superstition that the pass yard leader doesn't win the Super Bowl? Will it go 0-6 for those? Who knows? But that said, let's pop on now and take a look at the defenses. Let's look at what the Patriots have struggled at and where the Eagles could potentially eke out the win in this one. Right, we have a problem. The Patriots defense are bad at covering the read pass option. And that might not seem like a big thing, but that's actually what the Eagles do most, and that's what they're very good at, and that's what they've done to get them to this point. So the Achilles heel for the Patriots bend but don't break defense is RPO. So what does that mean? It means that, because look at it, right? The Patriots are sort of wallowing around the bottom of the league when it comes to defense in most categories. And they've really struggled in zonal defense this year. So they have to sort of, stack up man to man. And that's difficult to do when you've got a linebacker against a running back and they're running the read pass option out of the backfield, which is something that Nick Foles was doing. So, they have to get into man coverage. They struggle in zonal coverage, and they've struggled all year against passes to wide receivers and running backs in the backfield or in the flat. And that's exactly what the Eagles are going to do. So the Achilles heel for the Patriots is the one thing that the Eagles are good at. The Eagles run the read pass option almost 4 times as much as anybody else in the league. They've been doing it all season, and they've seemed to have perfected it. And the other thing that the Patriots have to put up with is Jay Ajayi, who's just bruising. They've got to put up with LeGarrette Blount, who they might be able to do a bit better because LeGarrette Blount has an awful lot of his postseason success as a Patriot. But now they're going to have to put up with Jay Ajayi, who is just, the guy's almost averaged 100 yards per game in every one of his playoff games. The guy's an absolute unit. So that's the Achilles heel for the Patriots. If we look at the defense for the Eagles, we've Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. They're sack machines. Tom Brady has been beaten in the playoffs when they get that pressure up front. And that's exactly what the Giants did. And that's what the Eagles are going to look to do here as well. Now, I think that Tom Brady can get around that type of stuff with the likes of Rob Gronkowski. He's really experienced wide receivers. If he's getting pressure, he can get rollouts from his running backs, and he can get some purchase on that as well. So I think he has too many potent options to be made one-dimensional. So I don't know if that pressure up front is as relevant in this Super Bowl, but it still shows why the spread is so small. But there's one factor for the Patriots that we all have to consider, and it's still unknown to this point, but according to the Boston Herald, it's going to be a go for game time, and that is the Gronk factor. The Gronk. He went out of the last game against the Jags, which was 2 weeks ago almost now, with a concussion. And the Patriots, importantly in that game, they readjusted. So if he's not available, the Patriots will have a game plan in place to be able to function without him. However, when he's there, what a bonus he is. Now, he's injured quite a lot, so that's an advantage for the Patriots in the sense that they're never restricted to one weapon. Bill Belichick is a master roster builder, and he gets people in. Look what he did on the defense with James Harrison, pulling him away from their rivals, the Steelers. And this is just what he does, the Gronk factor. 84% of all of the Gronk's catches go for first downs. That's the aim of the game, is first downs. That's where a game, more often than not, is won. If you can stay on the field and keep putting on that pressure and keep picking up points on drives, you win. Sounds obvious? Of course it does. So that's what we're dealing with here. He holds almost every record in the postseason for tight ends. He's got 10 touchdowns in the postseason, most for any tight end in NFL history, 856 yards, most by any tight end in NFL history. He's 1 touchdown per game in the last 7 games in the postseason. He is going to get a touchdown in this game, and the odds for him getting the first touchdown are on the screen, and that looks like a tasty little bet on BetBright for me. So this is going to come down to, is he going to play? The Boston Herald says he will, and if he does, I think he might be the X factor in this game. You could see him winning the Super Bowl MVP for sure. I think that he's going to make the end zone at least once. We could see him 2 or 3 times spiking that ball into the ground, into the end zone. So let's talk about what do the Eagles need to do to win this game. The spread is quite small. this is what they need to do. So Nick Foles needs to show up on the day. He needs to bring that passer rating that he's brought. If he gets intercepted even once, I think they're going to lose. Jay Ajayi and his running backs need to play lights out. He seems to have done it so far for the Dolphins this season. He's come in and hit the ground running with the Eagles. If he can continue on that and put the pressure on and get those chunk yards, I think they're going to have some purchase. They're going to have the read pass option. I mean, this is a buzzword and buzz anagram that you're going to hear the whole way. RPO. If the Eagles can do it as effectively as they have done all season, I think they could beat the Patriots in this one. The spread is quite low. They have to restrict the Patriots in scoring, and then they need to rip off enough RPO to get down near the end zone and just keep banging over field goals if they can't punch it into the end zone, which they can. Now, the Patriots have done well in the sense that they've been at the bottom in most defensive categories, but they're fourth or fifth in the league at points given up, which means that they've let you get the chunk yards by running, by passing, but they haven't actually given you the points, and they've got those sort of, they've really made, it's the bend and don't break, it's famous. So they've just made sure that where they have been bad, that they just don't give up the points at the very end, which everyone knows is the important part. So who do I think is going to win the game? This is the way I think it's going to go. Some people have been predicting that the Patriots put up a wallop of a score on the Eagles. I think that might happen in this game. And the one thing that will stop that from happening is if the Eagles do that stuff that I'm after saying that they're going to do. If Nick Foles shows up, I think the Eagles win it, and I think they win it by about 2 touchdowns. This, I don't think, is going to be a close game. This come back to bite me. I don't think it's going to be a close game. I think the Patriots either wax the Eagles or the Eagles wax the Patriots, and it's seen as an upset. That's how it's going to go. The odds from BetBright are on the screen. Have yourself a tidy little bet. And look, you'll see me with the good, the bad, the ugly piece on the website, my final contribution on the NFL this season. It's been a short season and it's going to be a long way till the next one. I'll see you then.